Yes, 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 yes. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me as my co host is the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
Tonight, Monday, January 12th, we will be covering the topic Breakup to Breakthrough, discussing turning the page, closing chapters, and opening new doors. Whether you're fresh out of a relationship or still healing, we're diving into the real talk about moving on and finding what's next. So buckle up and let's get this convo started. What's your story? Share with us and let's grow together. Please like and share our video. And don't forget to tell someone who is going through it to tell another person who's going through it to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Sitting at about 1,021 subs, about 80 away from 1.1K. We are slow cooking, but cooking. So here we have it. Another show competing against the Steelers. As you can see, I'm rocking my yellow and black and representing the Steelers tonight. And then defensive struggle right now. Good game. Um, but here we have it. What a weekend of playoff football. Some great games going to the wire. This that time of the year where you like, whew, look forward to it. So everything's on the line. Just like in this relationship thing, sometimes it's getting critical for people. Some of you, many of you, maybe at your last end, at your last wits, maybe running out of time. And I know people are like, "Oh, you're as long as you're not dead, you're never running out of time." But we know that sometimes you get to a point, ain't nobody knocking at your damn door. You may think you hear a knock, it's probably just the wind or something like that. And you gotta make good use of it. So here we
Boy, that
have it.
center, that broken center that need to be replaced. Ain't nobody there to do it.
What's going on with you, Big Bad Wolf?
Man, I'll just off for the next few days, man. I gotta get this room situated. So excuse me, got the hiccups. Had those for about an hour. So I'll probably spend some time doing that tomorrow and get a couple other things into place, man. But it's the winter, man. I come to realize the older I get, as much as I like winter, the less I tend to do in the winter. So, especially with it is weird. This winter is kind of weird. The temperature, being like in the high high 30s, low 40s. Because usually I like to go ice skating, but it's hard to do outside, even with the um with the surfaces that they have, because most of them when we're on free on underneath, but that only works so well in certain climates. So we gonna see. We still have the month. We still have half of this month in the month of February, but that only sets us up for snowstorms, and that really ain't conducive for ice skating either. So we gonna see what happens. But man, other than that, man, it's steady as she goes. I just waiting on this. I was waiting on spring now, I suppose. Spring, so I can get this place set up. But that's it, though. I got nothing to report, man. Gotta.
Yeah, well, I don't really have nothing major going on either. I mean, back at work, of course. It's that time of the year that once winter break is over, it's a wrap. The school year just flies by because what most people don't know, they start testing early, and testing goes on for months. So, as I've shared before on here, really, you think your kids in school for like 10 months, uh, learning and getting information? Well, about 2 or 3 of the last months is testing and makeup testing. So it's really To me, some of it is busy work. I hate to say it because testing takes up so much of the time. And for my eighth graders, like we had registration today for high school, and one of the guys told him, he said, well, right now at this moment, you got 4.5 years left before you walk the stage. And everything right now should be competitive. Uh, Great point, because that's what it is. You think you buddy with people, and even friends, family members, it's about competition. Even though you may not advertise it, but people are competing against one another. And some people are like, well, that's sad to say. And you'll have people, "Oh, I don't compete with nobody. I don't do this or do that." But you're looking at somebody or something and saying, damn, I got to step my game up. Or how can I get better? Or you hear they have a job or different job. And then you're like, oh, I need to, they just got a 10,000 raise at their job or promotion. I need to do something better. You see somebody in a nice relationship, they're doing things. You say, "Damn, I wish I had that." You're always competing. Now, some people they may take it in a form of hating or negativity, so you just never know how people are coming. But you should get motivated sometimes by what other people are doing, especially if it's someone that you're close to and you can kick it with and you're around. And if they're doing great things, you should. But don't get to the point that you're trying to compare. You may identify what they got going on and it may help you, but don't get into the world of trying to compare what other people are doing, because that's when you end up setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations, which always lead to resentment and disappointment.
Failure, man. What people don't realize, I think a lot of people don't realize in life is relationships are the cornerstone of everything that we do. There's no getting around it. But the one thing is just like you're saying, the one thing that robs a lot of people more so than our parents ever had to deal with is social media. Why? Because the comparison. And what did they say about the thief of joy is? Comparison. People sit there and they fixated on either a computer screen or on this, and they're always consistently comparing what they have and what they don't have with someone else, as opposed to being happy for what they do and they don't have. When we get together for Thanksgiving, we always do a circle prayer. So whoever's where we decide to have dinner at, which is usually my brother's house, we gonna want to give thanks for what we have. And I'm like, look, I'm giving thanks for what I don't have. I don't have to deal with being broke. I don't have to deal with homelessness. I don't have to deal with bad health other than my weight. And a lot of what people would have would multiply if they change their mindset. But too many people won't. We talk about mental health, and excuse me, a lot of what we have in terms of mental health starts with the self. A lot of people really, they're not grounded enough to understand that you can always rebuild whatever it is. You lose some finances, you can always go out and get a job. You can always work gigs. You can always do this to build that money back up. Because I'm not taking shots at men. I understand that. A lot of men are concerned with getting married because of divorce. It's a legitimate concern, which is why you need to take steps and put safety measures in place to protect against that. It's not necessarily the female you need to protect against, it's yourself. This is why I always say when I enter into relationships, I'm doing NDAs. Why? Because it protects me from me. Why? I don't put stuff on social media. I don't run around telling my friends I did this. I don't run around telling my family I did this, and not until long after it's done. Like when I went to Vegas, obviously when I posted the fireworks, yeah, It was Las Vegas up until then. Maybe only a dozen people knew. People have to learn how to be discreet, especially women. Why? Simple. If your female friends, and I'm speaking firsthand, if your female friends know you got a good man, one or two things might happen. They're gonna become slightly jealous, maybe envious, and try and subvert what you have going on, or they're gonna try and shoehorn in there and get you out of there so they can get what you got. Now I know people say, "No, my crew don't roll like that." Well, nobody's crew rolls like that until they roll like that. All of a sudden, you say, "I never thought of this. This is gonna happen." You see these TV shows, and what do these TV shows reveal? What do they show you? They show you people sliding in, trying to knock you out of place so they can get in that place.
Already been said they kill that code and all that stuff. It happened. It happens times two, times three. It could be somebody dealing with two or three people in the same crew. So all that stuff, it sounds good. That I don't talk to. That's my friend. Is like the statute. There's no statute of limitation. Once I know they talk to them, that's that. Nah, nah, don't operate like that. Not in this world, especially when you may find a shortage of, for example, men or good men or decent men, and if depending on where you live, it happens. So just knock it off, people.
Yeah, and I know some people gonna say that. Well, men do it too. I'm not gonna deny that men do it, but those kind of men don't live by a code. They're dishonorable, disreputable, and more often than not, you gonna find them without a crew that they're hanging around. And if they're hanging around that crew, you may want to look into that crew and see which ones are the shady ones and which ones aren't. And Lemoyne says, "Man, this has nothing to do with the combo, but why is this a code in your hometown?" I think he's talking about Niagara Falls. It's simple. It's where we're located, man. You got Lake Ontario to the north of us, and due to the northwest, you got Lake Erie. So you get that air that comes down from the Canadian prairies in the west, and it sweeps across in an arc, and it brings that cold prairie air. And you know,
Knock
depending
it
on
off, little boy. Knock it off. I know you're an Alabama person, man, but you know what it is in Niagara Falls. You knew
yeah,
to come in there with come with that Sherlin or that North Face coat on when you was coming to the Cataract City. Stop. Knock it off.
yeah, but I mean, we've grown up in it, so we understand how to deal with it. But I mean, that don't mean you know we don't we don't feel it because trust me, we do. I know I do every night I walk to work and that wind is blowing like the hawk. I got to turn around and walk backwards. So it's tough. But back to what we were saying, yeah, men do it, but just really not to the manner that women do. Women are trying to take your place. Some men are just trying to smash and dash. They don't really give a damn about all of that. So it's a tough world, because you got people who aren't. They're just simply put, they're not being honest. They're not being honest with the people that they deal with. They're not being honest with themselves. So when you got a bunch of dishonest people running around and they're doing dishonest things, it creates an environment to where people don't trust anything. And that's a recipe for disaster because a lot of people going on dates, you got men out there afraid of getting misused for their money. You got women that are out here afraid that they're just being looked at for what they have between their legs. And you know what? Both sides are right. There's somebody out there who's looking to just go on a date just to have a meal. There's some men looking to pick up a female just because it's a different hole, for lack of a better term. I don't want to be, too grotesque, but I just started talking to a female a couple of weeks ago. She said she had one date with a guy. She said she cut him off. I said, why? She said, because he was treating me like it was just a sex thing. I said, good for you. Good for you. You gotta recognize that, especially if you're anywhere over the age of 35, you and you've been dating at least consistently, you have to come to a realization, yo, this is out here is more of a part of the dating fabric now than it ever has been. And we can go back to when our parents were dating, the, the high school dances and all that. Nobody was out there like that. These high school dances now, they might as well be um, prepping these young kids for the club life because I see some of the things that they're wearing. I'm just like, there's absolutely no way in the world that we could have got away with wearing stuff like that to homecoming, prom, whatever other school event. They would have like, no, you got to go home and change that out. You can't wear that. I remember when jams first came out. They were cutting down, they were cracking down on us on that. For people who don't know what jams are, jams are what we would call shorts that came to our knees. And they were on it. Yo, I'm too short, you gotta go change. You gotta go call your parents and bring you something else. They were on it. Nowadays,
Yeah,
it is it's rugged. And they just not having it.
a lot of that is
The
a
kids that
parent
is.
issue. A
Yeah.
parent issue, and I know that a lot of people say, "Well, that's the way they make clothes and stuff like that." Well, I guess you could go a size up or something like that because hell, even at the middle school level, you'll be surprised some of the things these kids come in with. And depending on my relationship with the young ladies, sometimes I'll say, "What do you got on? Like, put some clothes on." And because the comfort that they have with me, they don't take offense to it. Whereas not anybody could just say that because then they'll think, "Oh, you being weird. He checking me out." Or whatever the case is, but they may look at me more of, "Hey, now I done went to Unk status and all that. Now I'm Pop Pop status. What's up, Pop Pop?" and I said, "Hey, what can I do?" But they'll know. And then, some of them will tell me, "Mr. Glover, you act just like my grandfather. You act just like this," because I'm going to keep it real and say what I got to say. What do you got on? Like, you need to fix yourself or something. Like, why you got that on and it's 35 degrees outside? And that, but that's a parent issue. And again, not trying to, you know, shit on the parents or anything like that because I know some of you are off and out and you trust your kid will make the right judgment. We talk about this all the time, and they may have something picked out, but then they change it up or bring a change of clothes when they get to school. But sometimes that's when I always talk about. Sometimes you just got to have a drive by. You just got to have a drive by. Come up with any reason. Can I have my daughter come in the main office? Could you call her down? I got to give her some. And bam, catch their asses. Oh boy,
Yeah,
it'd
because
be
they don't
so.
have time to change and they don't
Yeah,
know why. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It'd be so funny when those situations happen, or if I have to go get a kid. Oh, what's going on, Mr. Oh, your dad and mother, they're in my office, and they, for real? For what? Don't matter. I don't know. Just come down. We gotta have a meeting. So I would encourage people just to, if you got time off, or and you think your child is being sketchy, whatever, then just have that little quick drive by. Come up with some reason to come in there to call them down to the main office. You'll see everything that you need to see.
or a couple well placed spies and a couple of dollars in the hands of a well placed spy. They never know the difference. And like David said, we've talked about this before. If you want to keep an eye on your kid, hey, the best way to do something friends. And take that pinky oath, couple dollars in the hand. You gonna know what they do as soon as they do it. And the friend be like, man, I don't even know my mom, and and there you go. But let's get to the topic at hand. I do want to read something though. I found it interesting. I saw this today on Blair Nash's post. Shout out to Blair Nash. Now I don't know these individuals. Christy and Desmond Scott are going to separate ways, and I do want to read a couple excerpts from here. It says in an Instagram post, we just talked about social media. On Saturday, January 10th, Desmond opened up about a split from Christy. He wanted to say he apologizes to Christy, the family, and everyone who's been impacted by the public attention surrounding the situation. Now, apparently, he had some issues within the marriage, communicated those to his wife, and then he ended up having and being unfaithful. This is what I want to focus on. Both Christy and Desmond have massive social media followings online where they share videos of their day to day lives. Number one. Number two, Christy has 16.9 followers on TikTok, 9.5 million on Instagram, while Desmond's TikTok account is followed by 1.5 million people and his Instagram is followed by 1.8 million people. Now, I did a little bit of math and I might be also wrong, but that's close to 30 million people. 30 million. To give you a grasp on what that is roughly the population of New York State. Not New York City, but the state of New York. Closer, I think. I think about that. These are the people who take in what they do, who probably want to be able to replicate what they do in terms of their stardom and their lives. And nobody really knows what goes on once the camera's off. And this is what we always try and tell people is it's okay to take in vicariously what celebrities do. But you really don't want celebrity problems. You don't want to be away from the person, your family, your kids for weeks on end because you're making a movie. If you're a performer, musician, and you go on a road trip, you're away from your family for 2, 3 months at a time. Do you really want that kind of life? I mean, is that what you really think the millions are worth? Because you can't buy that time back, so you can buy all the gifts, all the luxury items you want, but you're not there. So that's going to cause in the relationship its own problems. So when it comes time to have that talk and your mate saying you're never here, you say, but I do this, do this, do this. You have to understand what they're telling you. They're telling you they want more of you. So something's going to have to give. And generally, it's the relationship. Heaven forbid, if there's kids caught in that couple has 2 children, both sons, and I can't recall their names. So, and they say the end of a relationship is the equivalent to the death of a close relative in the family. Some people take a long time to get over that. And you know what? That's fine. Do what you have to do. But this is the one thing that people, or these are the things that people need to understand and come to a hard truth about is the things that are put into relationships, the physical cost, the mental cost, the spiritual cost, the financial cost, and like I said, social media. All these are investments. All these come with a cost. And the one that people can control the most, they do the least, and that's social media. If you want a more successful relationship, keep your personal life off of social media. I know it's the next wave. That's how you get your money. That's how you do this. That's how you do that. I'm not saying you can't advertise your products. I'm not saying that you can't sell goods. I'm just saying that if you have a relationship that is doing well, keep it there. Keep it in the house. Like LL Cool J. I don't recall hearing anything about LL Cool J and his wife on social media. I could be wrong. I don't follow LL like that. I'm a fan, but I don't follow LL like that. Same thing with Ice Cubes. And these men have been married for 20 plus years, both of them. We don't hear about any stuff on social media with regards to their home lives. Coincidence? Possibly. But I'm just telling you, control the things that you can control. Make sure that the influence that could subvert your relationship don't get the time of day or a crack to even come into the relationship. Because once you do that, it makes it easier to deal with the things in the relationship because you're not influenced by what somebody who's never met you, who doesn't know you says. Because women tend to be the more social of the two genders. They are more susceptible to what strangers think. Unfortunately, doesn't mean they're the only ones. They're just more. So when you start to look at things and you start to look at why people break up, aside from money and infidelity, it's because somebody said something about this. Somebody said something about that. Just like the preacher's wife, who wore an extremely revealing dress.
Pastor Jamal.
I'm not even sure, but me personally speaking, I'm not necessarily in favor. And you already know my thing about the wardrobe and the women I deal with. If I
I
got to
already,
go out, yeah, if
I
I got
already
to go
said
out,
that in the
I'm
promo.
not a brother. But he said he went out and got that dress. To me, personally speaking, what that looks like,
You're a freak anyway, so
yes.
you've known to be a freak. So
So I mean, if and fellas, I'll put this out there as a disclaimer. If you know yourself, you have that kind of desire to see your woman dressed like that, do her a favor. Don't parade her in public like that because you're going to create an image in the public mindset of how you view her and what she is to you. This is why a lot of men have side pieces. And I'm not necessarily condoning side pieces, but that's what your side piece is supposed to be for. Fetishize your side piece like that. Put her and stuff like that. Just like Goodfellas. They had, correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. I know somebody will. They had their gumbaras. That was the woman that they took out on Friday nights, and they treated her like that. They treated her like she was just somebody to be there with, somebody to hold a few, and going about your business. This is why men of means, and when I say men of means, I mean men who are movers and shakers. They hire escort girls. They bring them around like that, and they go because they ain't got to worry about it. We have too many people that are trying to impress those that they don't know for that they may not even gain. So when you're doing those things, you have to be mindful of the attention that is going to bring to you, and more importantly, why? Because if you bring in that kind of attention into your relationship, it's only a matter of time before it festers and it starts to grow and it starts to permeate, and then all of a sudden people start asking questions. You want if you somewhere with your kids, they can say, "Hey, aren't you such and such's mother? Aren't you such and such's father? Well, why you got her dressing like that? Your daughter, your teenage son, will stand around looking. What are they talking about?" You say, "Hey, don't worry about it." No, they're gonna ask questions because the kids are curious. They're curious, and they're talking about your mother or your father, so they want to know why. It's like I was having a conversation with a female. This is probably last week, and I had mentioned something. She reported it. Restated it, and her son was in the room, and he heard it, and his ears perked up. She's like, "Get on out of here. This is a dope conversation." It doesn't take a lot for kids, especially once they get to be 8, 9, 10, and they necessarily haven't had that birds and the bees talk, but they got bits and pieces of information. All that stuff becomes um curious to them. They want to know about it. And if you ain't gonna tell them, they're gonna find a friend. Or if you don't have parental restrictions on the phone, they're gonna find out. It's, it's just the nature of the society that we live in now. So none of this is easy. You know, breaking up a home, breaking up any kind of relationship, especially when you don't have the foundation and the wherewithal to understand how to move on. The question becomes, when do you move on? And
Well,
unfortunately, nobody's really going to be able to answer that unless there's something drastic or catastrophic that has occurred that has forced you to get out because now your safety and your well-being are at risk.
well, as you said, when you talk about social media, I think there's the good and bad, and I think, far as relationship wise, uh, that's where the bad comes in because, again, I always talk about images, how powerful images are, and people can post the happiest times in their relationship. They're on vacation, they hugged up, and people glamour around that. You know, they hard it up. Some people don't like the person, but they just want to be nosy and be on that page, and they see these things, and then they bring that image to their relationship. Ah, I wish we can do things like such and such do. I wish our relationship was like that. But meanwhile, the other person may know this shit is fool's gold. It's fool's gold. I know the person. It's not what it is. It's not what it is. And but those images is not so powerful and they resonate in your head that you can't let go. That's why, again, we talked about this before, advertisement, commercials. It's no secret. That's why um, these companies spends millions and $1 million on commercials, and they do it during times like Super Bowl and all that stuff when um, TV is most viewed because they know that um, the images are powerful. Even if you think about it on a smaller level, TikTok and all that, the TikTok shop and all that. The people you strolling through, and you might see a product, and you might think like, okay, and you might say, well, it isn't that much, but shit, okay, let me click on that and get that. But it's the images you're clicking through, and you're looking at the images that that's set in your head, in your mind, and you say, hey, and if they using the right words that trigger you, you may end up getting that product or whatever the case is. So people get misconstrued with just the images that it's not always everything that may look good or is presented may not always be what it is. So I think a lot of people get caught up in that, and as far as social media, because everybody, at the end of the day, people want validation.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, I don't give a damn. You can have one view, such and such. Long as I know. Long as I know. And I know people are viewing and all that. Numbers don't lie. Uh shit. Even here on the YouTube thing, we're approaching 400,000 views. So people watching. You don't get to almost a half a billion uh without somebody looking. People may not say anything, but they're looking. Yeah, and if you're looking, that means you're learning or you're taking something from
Mm-hmm.
it, and that's how I see it. But this relationship thing with the social media, it's just it's a major issue. Some people use social media for what it is, like to build your brand, to do whatever. You may post captions of certain things, but you're not flaunting your relationship on social media because it depends on your role. You don't want to flaunt something on, you don't want to flaunt, say, for example, your woman on there, and then you have people critiquing and saying what they got to say on there. That leads to drama. Oh, shit, you know these people. That's who he fuck with. Shit, that let me say this or say that. You don't want all that unnecessary stuff. But some of y'all, that's what y'all live for because you looking for validation. You're looking for acceptance. So you go on, you do whatever you can to try to catch people's eyes, and that's that. I mean, some people do it. Hey, they want to put their poster their kids all over social media because they want to look like they're the ideal parent on there. They want to post report cards and all that stuff. Like, look what my kid did. Newsflash, people. I ain't gonna even get into it. I'm gonna wait till I get up out of the school system, and I'm gonna tell you about that shit.
Well,
Newsflash.
it's funny because of the things I listed. Family is on there. What people may not, I won't say fail, what people may not really fully grasp is that because now we have so many people that have kids and they're not the mother and father and the kid are not under the same roof. So now you have discrepancies in what one parent wants to do with the child and what the other parent feels is correct for the child. All the while, the child is caught in the crosshairs. So when I mentioned familia, this is one of the things. Now, heaven forbid, just like the couple I read, you together for 10 years, y'all vested. So now you got the in-laws involved. Well, they shouldn't do that with the child. That shouldn't happen with the child. Why you let her post pictures of her like that? Why you talk about me having went and got his haircut? That's not public information. Why you got her dressed like that? She's 9 years old. You got her dressing like she's a teenager. Why you got him wearing thug clothing with his hair done like that? Jewelry. He's a kid. Let him be. All this stuff comes into the disillusion of the relationship. It is only made worse and amplified by social media. And because people rarely sit down and they talk about these things beforehand, nobody knows what to do. I got a questions here. Matter of fact, one, two, three. I'll read them because they're gonna come to pass later on in the broadcast. The starting point. Where is it? What does it look like? How do you start? And the question is, do you want to start over with somebody else? Just keep those in mind. So where do you start when you know you want out of a relationship? Some people it starts with counseling. Some people it starts with infidelity. I know it sounds weird. In order to get out of a relationship, because that's what is being rumored about the couple, is that he used infidelity to trigger her wanting to file a divorce. Diabolical, I know. Some people will say were asking in the comments, well, why didn't he just leave? Good question. Don't know. Maybe he didn't think that would work. Maybe he thought she would fight for the marriage. We don't know. More importantly, this guy probably doesn't know because he's never sat down. He's never thought to himself, what do we do? Or how do I handle this situation if things aren't to my liking? And most people don't. And that's not good or bad. That's just the nature of human behavior. We never sit down and we never talk about what are we going to do if something isn't working out. Because I assure you that if you go to couples therapy or you go to therapy for yourself, that counselor is not talking about how to handle social media. Why? Because social media is the new frontier. Social media is the X factor. And because there haven't been any classes, I can't say this for certain, but I'm pretty sure that none of the classes that somebody took to be a psychologist, therapist, talked about social media.
and,
Because
and,
you
that-
can't. Go ahead, Dan.
and that may be the biggest issue that, again, when I say school, the frustration. You got a curriculum and things have changed, but y'all haven't did shit to adapt to the change and keep giving this old shit, this old information to people who's past that. You got AI. Kids like, oh, I don't want to write no paper. I could just put this shit on AI or whatever. And uh, the what is it? CBT chat thing and all
Yeah,
of that stuff.
yeah,
Like, if you don't if you don't change with the times, then you're gonna get a lack of engagement. So that's what you get in schools. Like, you just can't sit there with the old way of teacher talk, blah blah blah, just talking whatever. These kids like they talk too much.
yeah,
Shut the fuck up, whatever. Then they start cracking you, fat ass, bald head ass, broke bitch. All of these things come out, and you just haven't caught up with the times, whatever. And yeah, like you said, there needs to be something, some social media group. Shit, they might have to have. They might should have a position created in school for social media. Uh, a position. Uh, for that, because that's where the bulk of the issues come from.
yeah. It's
That's where the bulk of the issues.
just like when they call them special forces, they call them force multipliers. Social media is the same thing. So now that we discussed social media and the family aspect or the familiar aspect, there's a financial component as well. Why? Because the mother's probably going to want more support to do with certain things, especially if you have a child that's into extracurricular activities. So you got a child that's in karate, you have a child that's taking instrument lessons. Well, she's probably going to want more money for that. You got a child that's active in field trips and likes to do that. You got a child that's whatever it is that the child is active in. So now there's the money component that comes out, and she's not happy. She's talking about, I know you got a promotion. I know you got a raise. They was talking about the $10,000 raise. I think I'm going back to court to get the child support um uh award rearranged. And you said, okay, I'm in a messed up situation because she don't know you got a new boo. She don't know that the new boo is at the end of her first trimester. So you gonna need the extra money because you trying to buy a home. She don't know none of this. Why? Because y'all sit down to talk about this. You don't think it's any of her business. And you know what? You might have a point. You may have gotten to the point now where you you knew what the end looked like. You knew how to start it. You got to the point now where you financially secure, you're mentally stable, everything's set, you moved on, and now you're at the next step. You got a solid partner. Y'all discuss these things you learn from your first mistakes, and now y'all expecting a kid. Y'all talked about buying a home, but you ain't talked to the X factor. And the X factor, no matter how people want to think about it, the X factor matters. You can say it ain't none of his business, it ain't none of her business. It's never anyone's business until they stick their nose in it, and all of a sudden now they got bronze all over their nose, and they not happy because it smells. And now they mad because you weren't honest with them. You didn't tell them. They had to find out through social media. They had to find out through their friends. They had to find out through your brother. They had to find out through their through their sister or whoever it was that blew you in. They didn't do you any favors. Why? Because you didn't realize that loose lips sink ships. The only person that should have had wind of that information was you and your mate. This is why I always talk about non-disclosure agreements, because if you keep certain information between you and the individual you're dealing with, guess what? You don't have to put out fires all over the place. So that little spark that might cause a conflagration is contained within you and the individual you're dealing with. The people, no man, they gotta know. Keep your business Keeping the house, keep it between the people who are tasked with making that decision because and it starts to go on up the ladder. Like I said, social media we talked about familiar, and now the financial. All these, say it with me, are investments. You can invest time, money, spirituality, which we'll get to next, the mental component, we touched on that, and then the physical component, we'll touch on that. Go ahead, Dave.
When I look at it, I jump back to processing your emotions first. When you in relationships and you're getting out of it, how do you process your emotions? Do you take time to grieve, reflect, work through your feelings, journaling, talking to friends? I don't know about that friend shit, like for real. I'm not so much sold on that shit. Far as that, sorry, homies, whatever. I'm not sold on that. Because certain people di- don't know how to pick up w- when, like time and season, when to be appropriate, when to be a good listener, when appropriate comments should be made. I'm not sold on that. I think that's overrated, to be honest. You heard me. I said it. Some friendships is overrated. It's fucking overrated. It, s- and you only could be a good friend, and it's a lot of based on your principles and your upbringing and things that you were taught, and as my grandmother said, to do right by people. And some people never got that. Uh, Certain little principles or certain things to do right by people. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that because those type of messages wasn't in the household.
Yeah,
So that friendship, as far as I'm concerned, I have people that they're my friends. We cool and all that, but all that ride and die shit, that's some old rap shit from BET. That people gravitate towards, but y'all don't really mean it. And that's what I always talk about. You don't really mean it. And I'm not trying to be a part of no cliques, no gangs, no cults, and all that stuff. If I'm in a genuine relationship and if I'm sharing something with you and it's heartfelt, that's what it is. That's what it is. And again, we always talk about shit. How many men can get with their homeboy and shed some damn tears? And like, yo, man, I'm fucked up behind this shit. Like, without them saying something inappropriate because they never was taught the art of compassion and
yeah,
understanding. How many people could do that? And I think that's where a lot of males and I'm only gonna speak as black males because I'm a black man. I don't know what white men I don't know what they do, but that's why we walk around like we hardcore, like we don't have no feelings or anything like that, and because we talk about having safe spaces and having people that you can break down to and understand. It's okay for a man to cry again. And I ain't talking about just crying to be fucking crying. Some men just be crying to be crying. But for a legitimate reason, and all of this stuff goes into relationships. Sometimes you may know, man, I'm fucking up, but I need to talk to somebody about it because I know I need to get right. I ain't making enough money. I ain't doing this. I can't get no overtime. Uh, Shit. I ain't holding up my end of the bit because I can tell you, a lot of relationships, there's men that's supposed to be paying their part. They ain't paying it. And then the women find out, shit, he ain't paid this shit.
hmm
Now, all this shit, where did this come from? I trusted you. I believed you. I thought you were paying this. But if you're a man and you have people that you could go to, I'm fucked up. I'm in a fucked up spot. I don't have the money to do all this. I can't keep up with this lifestyle. And you may have somebody to tell you, oh, this is what you could do. Or you know what? My man got this going. Maybe you could pick up some hours here to get back on track. We don't live like that. We don't live like that. So a lot of that becomes the issue too of being comfortable and being realistic that just because a lot of times people always say, quit using the word friends and all that. Again, and that sis, bruh, shit. That's just slang. Ain't everybody your real sister, your brother, or whatever. That shit just something to say. I don't take those words lightly. And and maybe I'm just defiant or got a wall built around me, whatever, as a protector. But I don't take that shit lightly. Ain't everybody your sister, your bro, and all this and all that. I need to knock that shit off for real.
No, and that's where the spirituality comes into play. A lot of people, just to what David is saying, a lot of people, they're not surrounded by a competent group of people, whether it's men or women. It tends to be more so towards men because, especially black men, we're indoctrinated to be stoic. You're indoctrinated to be strong. You're indoctrinated to not show quote unquote weakness. So when you need to be vulnerable, who's there for you to be vulnerable to? Who's not going to try and demean you? Who's not going to try to exploit that? Because most men are going to a church and say, Pastor, what is the pastor really going to do for you besides listen? And some people say, well, maybe that's all you need. Nah, because if you're behind on your bills, you need money. Yeah, that talking is only good for so much. You need money. You need funds. You need to put dollars dollars in front of ones. You need to put ones in front of zeros until you got enough zeros there to take care of whatever it is that's coming down the pipe. Now, that spirituality can work if it's followed by work. What does the Bible say? Um, faith without works without faith is dead. Something to that extent. Yeah, men don't have a problem talking. Most men will tell you that. You know what? If there was a concrete, and I mean concrete, um, what's the term I'm looking for? If there was a concrete solution that could emerge from them having a discussion, they'll sit down and have a discussion with you in a heartbeat because they know at the end something's going to come from the discussion that they can use to bolster whatever it is that they need. So if I can sit down and have a 15-minute conversation with somebody and I'm guaranteed to get some monetary benefit from it, I'm there. But if I'm not, they're gonna say, "Hey, well, why the hell am I wasting my time talking to you? I'm not going to get anything of substance from this. I'm not going to get anything that's going to allow me to catch up on my mortgage or to pay this month's mortgage, which I'm kind of close to behind on, or I'm going to be able to make the car note, or I'm going to be able to do this." This is why men generally don't do that because there is no tangible monetary benefit. And for women, yeah, because you're not looked upon to carry that financial burden. So, yes, you can sit there and cry and nobody's going to say anything. Why? Because that's not supposed to be your job. Now, if you're in a single household, you just got divorced, and your ex ain't helping you out, well, yeah, you might be in the same situation as some men. I don't disagree. That's what it is. So now, and this is where women have developed those masculine traits. They can't be soft because they're always in a state of flux. They're always looking to make money. They're always trying to cover this, get this paid, get that taken care of. So now, they walk around, you know, so hyper focused on finances that they can't be soft. That's not necessarily to blame anybody. That's just the way the relationship unfolded. This is why we're talking about this particular thing now. So now it causes a mental strain. And like I said, who are you going to talk to that's going to be able to do this? A counselor? They're not giving you. Matter of fact, that's an added bill. So what do some people do when they have the finances are stretched to the maximum? They start cutting back on stuff. And sometimes the things they cut back on are the things that they need the most. So your therapist is costing you $400 a month. You go see them 3, 4 hours. You say, hey, look, I got to make the car payment. You're looking at your list of expenses. You see therapist, groceries, electric bill, car payment, rent a mortgage. You say, which one of those can I do without? Buy therapy. Therapy's gone. Now, you're going to suffer a little bit because you don't have an outlet. But at least you got your roof over your head. You can put some groceries in the refrigerator. You can put some gas in your car. But now you're still suffering. Who? Well, I think that was escape. Who can I run to when you need love? I don't know.
See, a, a lot of, for men, a lot of it is the fear of embarrassment,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of embarrassment, the fear of trust that, I told this person something, I confide in him. But again, women, y'all got it right. Some men run their mouth like freaking women. So you shit, the sooner it could be it could be an argument about sports, going back and forth over a football game, a boxing match. Then you have people trying to pull out personal information, talking about this that has nothing to do with any of that. So you holding on all of this uh baggage in, and you can't release it because shit, who knows? Family members run their mouth too. They tell everything. So you don't have nobody that you can say, man, shit ain't right. And then you wonder why a lot of us are croaking at a younger age. Because you got all this shit inside you, all this toxic stuff, energy, stress. Stress kills.
Mm-hmm.
Stress kills more than cancer and all of that stuff because it leads to all of that. And you have nowhere to go. And sometimes some of us become dormant. Like shit, I just keep to my fucking self. I ain't
Yeah.
fucking with nobody like this, whatever. And I don't care for all that because you gotta you gotta validate people's feelings. You gotta pick up on warning signs. You gotta realize, they not the same. They not feeling the same. They body language, they were a little off. You gotta pick up on that. And once you pick up on it, you gotta do something with it. Good. Not berate them or whatever. You gotta do something good with it. Master Barber said the roles have reversed. Acting like women and women. Yeah, definitely that's the case with many. So you got to go somewhere with it when you know somebody is not at their best, especially if you someone that's again a family member or a real friend or but again that's relative. We don't know real friends and all that shit. I denounce all of that shit at this point, whatever. Because at the end of the day, my research say shit. Try to do something out of the ordinary, and you'll see who your real friends are
Mm-hmm.
to build yourself up. Everybody be crickets, disappear. I ain't get that message or whatever. So when you try to do something out of the ordinary, you can tell. Anything you do to make somebody feel uncomfortable, the way they respond, then you get all your answers.
Yeah.
You'll get your answers. I'll
Yep.
pass the mic.
Yep. So now we get to the sixth component, and then we can come back and we can put all these together and illustrate to how you can actually deal with these at a single in a single in within the relationship context is the physical aspect. Now, let's say you're a woman, you've been with this man 6 7 years, y'all been in a steady relationship, whether you're married or not. She's bore 2 kids. Now, men, we generally say, look, childbirth is, that's a byproduct of human life cycle. Yes, for us it is, but for women, it is physical trauma to the body, even though their bodies are designed for the process. That don't mean they emerge with nothing that occurs. Some of them have relations issues related, pardon me, to postpartum that they never really quite get over. Some of them will turn out to have allergies to things that they never had allergies to before. Some of them weight gain that they never get their body back. The list is long, and I'm not going to go through each and every thing. So the physical component for women is different than it is for the physical component of men. Men, you might have to deal with some sleepless nights because you're changing diapers, or y'all take turns doing midnight feedings. You might get off a 10, 11 hour work shift, and you might be doing blue collar work. You might be doing construction, and you tired. I know, I get it. I'm some days I'm working 12, 13 hours a day. I understand. One of my jobs is overnights. I get it. But there has to be a compromise in there somewhere. So both of you guys don't feel underappreciated, overworked, and as David said, stressed out. There's gotta be a happy medium in there that you two, and if possible, you can bring in somebody once a week that can help you bridge the gap. This is why the family concept of the village was always paramount, because they understood what it was like to have a newborn. They understood what it was like to have a break from your own kids, to get away so you can rekindle the remote romance, so you can keep the relationship going. So you can say, okay, you know what? I look at the calendar. His mother's gonna take the kids for the weekend. We can go out and get away. And even if we don't do anything but sleep, at least we get some downtime. And I think that's really vastly underrated, is the physical aspect of relationships take on people. We just assume that you get in a relationship one day and everything's good, nothing changes. Oh no. If you're living together, you gotta share space. So what happens when this individual folds the toilet paper over as opposed to under? Y'all get in an argument over that. What happens if he leaves the toilet seat up and you go to sit down and you fall in? Now you got a, no pun intended, but now you got a wet ass and you upset about that. What happens if you leave dishes in the sink after you don't wash dishes? All this stuff. It adds up. And then there comes the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. So now you're in an argument because of something so simple has blown up. Now you got pushing, shoving. You got a domestic issue here. Next thing you know, CPS is called. They come take the kids because there's a weapon in the house. Not that was used, but there's a weapon in the house because one of you happened to be a CCW holder, whatever the case is. All this stuff now is taking a physical toll on a relationship. It's not easy. We're not here to say it is, but we're here to tell you how to manage. Everything is about management. Your physical, your mental, the financial, the family, even your social media. You have to have a health healthy balance with all of them. Because if you don't, once you start to rocking and rolling too much, you start taking on water, eventually you're gonna capsize because you're not getting rid of that water and you're not doing it in a manner that suits the relationship. You might be doing it in a manner that suits you, but if you're only doing things that suit you, then the other party, they're not on board. So they can't help. They don't know what's going on. You say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go do my thing. I don't care what happens. Is that really an adult way to handle a relationship? Do you really want to be looked at as being a, a psychopath or slightly narcissistic to where I don't care about them? This is just a me thing. I'm going out with the boys. I don't care if the twins are at home and she just got off of work. She's breastfeeding. That's on her. God damn, dude. Really? You mean she got twins at home? She's breastfeeding, and you want to step up with the boys and watch the Mayweather fight? Sorry, Dave. You want to watch? I know he's fighting Triple G. I know it was a cash fight. I know it's a. But damn, dog. Really? You gonna leave it like that? And then when you come home, had a good time. The kids are still up. You ain't bother to check. You ain't say, hey, man, you know what? You did your part. Let me do my part. It's Saturday. You ain't got to go to work in the morning. You're not going to always do that.
See, a real problem solver would just say, "Yo, y'all come on over to the house, whatever. Come on down to the man cave or whatever. She upstairs or she in a room with the bed. Y'all come through. That way I can engage with y'all, then check on her. That's what real problem solvers do. But when you out and you need to be out on the scene, you chasing another silver bullet, essentially. You chasing another silver bullet. Because once you get a certain age, that out life ain't where it's at. It really not. You could do all of the confines of all of that in your home, but when you out, you're looking for something. You're looking for something. There's nothing that would make me want to sit up in somebody's bar or club and spend extra money when I could simply go to the liquor store and get what I want to get, watch sports, do whatever. I don't. Some people, it's a need for the social aspect, as if they never been around people or never had that and they desire that. So if there's a need that's missing, that you feel like you always have to be on the scene, and I think that's a telling tale in a lot of relationships where you may have something like, I don't desire that. I don't I don't need that. I get enough social activity at work. I get enough people talking at work. That's how I feel. Like I don't need to be around people no matter what. If I want to decompress, if I want to have a drink, shit, I can have that shit by myself. Uh and because I don't need to be around people because I hear constant chatter all day long, all day, every minute from the time I walk in the door. And that depends on your profession too. But I think it's a point in time that people just need to get together,
Hmm.
reevaluate, and see what's what. One of the things you probably could start off with a simple conversation is your professions. What do you do? Because you know that some people, if they're a nurse, doctors, mechanics, or whatever the case is, certain jobs may take on a certain stress level.
Yep.
So just because it looks good and be like, man, damn, she a nurse, she fine as shit. Man, when I was up there, I met her. She had on them scrubs or whatever. Damn. And y'all get together. But without looking at that, you don't know the stress level of that job. And shit, for a person, and if they're a teacher, shit, they done heard people all day long, whatever. They probably want some peace and quiet, some serene environment. Like, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to be at a bar. I don't want to be at a club. I don't want to hear that now. My classes is loud all day long. So I just want some calmness. But you may be saying, shit, well, I'm ready to get amped up and go out and all that. It's always going to be a conflict of interest
Yep.
based on your profession, on what you do. So sometimes you got to tie in professions uh, and think about that in your personalities. Shit, people need maybe start administer personality quizzes to people to realize that, we in the mix, whatever. This is what I'm looking for. I like to do this. I'm more outgoing than you because of your job. You don't want to do that. It's not. It may not work. But sometimes we try to, again, force something into what's the old jigsaw thing, like forces something into
Square peg into a round hole.
yeah, that you already know it was damaged from day one based on your careers.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they they really don't sit down and have that particular type of discussion, other than to see where a person might be financially. And I'll say this: if you're dating and finances is the first thing on your list, you probably don't need to date. I don't care what your gender is, because if you're financially sound and if you're doing okay, hopefully you're going to be around and associate with other people who are doing financially as well. Anyway, this is why I always caution people to, shout out to Kevin Samuels, to get out in the world and get off those goddamn dating apps. Why? Because you're going to see some things in real life that's going to give you a very good key and then very good clues to the class of the individual that you might be attracted to. Case in point, let's say you go to happy hour. You're not going to see that nurse necessarily in scrubs. Now you might see that nurse in a pair of jeans, slacks, and just a regular top. They're going to look like regular individual people. You sit there and listen to the conversation, and she might be having a conversation with a few other nurses. You're gonna hear CC's this and types of medication that. Say, oh, well, you guys nurses? Yeah. Ballpark that they're doing reasonably well. So now how do you insert yourself into that discussion? Or you just sit there and listen and you eavesdrop. I talked about ear hustling a couple of weeks ago. There's a reason why I suggest doing it. So you listen to the kind of language that's being used. You listen to what doctors they might have an affinity for. Hopefully, you're checking for wedding rings, engagement rings. People say, "Well, why would you want to do?" Because you know who to target. Now, the female you might have a liking to, she might be engaged, but she might not be happily engaged. They may have postponed the wedding. A number of things. Same thing for the women. You go in there, you see some men in construction boots, plaid shirts. They're talking about foundations and this. Oh, you guys are in construction. Well, hey, I got a question. I'm trying to do this with my home. How can I do this? And you're lying, but you're just trying to gauge interest. You're trying to see who might have a hypothetical answer to your question because you're prodding. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying lie. I'm just saying be imaginative with the things that you do so you can cut through the nonsense, so you can figure out who you want to, so you can do like a lion, isolate him, go on the hunt. And women, there's nothing wrong with you letting the man know you have an interest in. Stop buying into the notion that you letting the man know that you're interested in him is wrong. It's outmoded. No, a closed mouth don't get fed. If you want that man to know you have an interest in him, tell him. Tell him. Go up to him and say, "Look, I think you're attractive. Can I get your number?" That's it. It's not rocket science. That whole batting there, sitting there batting your eyelashes and tilting your head and play, that's not acute to a man. You do that and I'm sitting next to you, I'm gonna think you got some nervous twitch. I might get away from you and run the other way. But if you tell me, hey, I think you're attractive, can I have your phone number? Hey, that's an inroad. That's a conversation. Shoot, let me take it from there. Hey, I'm I'm the captain with the ball in the post. Let me finish this on up.
It's
But you gotta make it known.
it's the fear of rejection, and even at an older age, that you don't want to put yourself out there. And times it's a waste of time. If you're a woman and you want to throw a good strong hint, maybe that's all it takes.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, shit, you could have missed out opportunities. You could have missed out on years of maybe or opportunity forming some type of relationship, but you never let him know how you felt. And he may say, I ain't gonna holler at her, whatever. And based on certain situations, I'm not. And sometimes men be looking for clear hints.
Yeah.
It's because you hear so much about when men be aggressive, so aggressive that like stalking me. He's being weird. So some guys like they fall back until they get a clear hint or a clear indication that okay, let me make a like let me make a move because certainly it ain't the gifted gab no more like how it used to be. Uh,
Yeah.
because those times have changed where some guys get and you're like, man, damn, everything he said because now people say the same shit over and over. And again, words travel because of social media. You don't have the same conversations like we had before. So sometimes a man is looking for a clear, direct indication that she's interested in me. Um, Instead of playing the cat and mouse game. And
Yeah.
again, we talk about profession, depending on the profession that he's in. Shit, he may just be out like, I'm just gonna go out, have me a couple rounds, and then I'm gonna take it in. And I know I gotta get back on that train tomorrow, and I ain't thinking about it. But he could be a single man and like, shit, I ain't pressing nobody. Shit, I've been stressed out from my previous relationships, whatever. I'm just out. But damn, I do desire somebody, but I ain't pressing the issue. I'm done pressing the issue. The last two issues I pressed, I ended up with children and fucking heartache and pain. So I ain't saying shit, and I ain't gay. But I'm just not gonna say shit. They gonna have to come to me because there's some guys like that. Like you got to come to me for real. Like I ain't pressing no more. I'm all right. I got a good job. I I got a home. I'm all right. My kids all right. I ain't saying shit to no. I ain't pressing you. Shit. I'm the prize. I'm the big dog. You got to say something to me to make me want to say something to you. I know y'all say, well, that's out of order. No, things have
Nah.
changed.
And you know what? The thing about what David has just said is that sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes you have to wait a good man out. And I know women say, well, why do I have to wait him out? Why can't he make up his mind? Like Dave said, once bitten, twice shy. He's in a state of stasis where he doesn't have to move. He doesn't feel the desire to move. He doesn't need to move. Now, it could be a situation where you're 26, 27. He's 35, 36. He's got 10 years, two kids. He's got himself situated, like David said, but you want to have a child, and he fits the mold in every way, shape, or form. But your your biological urges kicking in. You say, hey, look, I don't want to be in that high risk category, or I can't remember the correct terminology they use, but anyway, you don't want to run the risk of having a child with birth defects. So you want to try and nudge the process along. He ain't moving. So now you got a decision to make. You communicated to him what you want, your needs, your time frame. He's saying, babe, I understand, but that's not where I am. So do you move on or do you wait? Most women will say, you know what? I'm gonna move on. 2 years later, you see that dude down the road. He married. He's got another kid on the way, and you sit there and you say, "Well, wait a minute. Where was all this when I was talking to you?" You said, "Hey, it wasn't the right time." You say, "Well, how was it the right time? Almost 2 years later." He said, "Well, I got a promotion at work. What Dave talked about earlier. I got a $10,000 raise. I was able to do it. It put me in a relaxed state. It allowed me to make some moves. Sometimes I'm gonna say it again. You gotta wait a good man out because once you start to age, once you start to get older, and you get out of college, for women, especially a woman of means, the more you make, the tougher it is to date. Especially when you start talking about you want kids, you expect a man to make this type of money, you expect him to be this, you want him to do that. There are men out there who can do that. There are men out there who absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, meet your standards. But you're just not gonna find them at happy hour because those type of men, they tend to be recluse. Like David said, they're gonna go have a couple, they're gonna be by themselves, and they out. They survey the landscape. You're not approaching. They don't have a need to approach. They don't have a reason to approach. They say, shh, I'm good just like I am. I got me a slinky link on the side. I go across country to Vegas on the weekend. I might fly to here. I might meet this shorty here. I don't need anything. I don't need to produce any kids. I already got two. Their mother's doing well. She's remarried. That guy's stable. I'm good. And now you don't understand that you had the situation in your hand, but you decided to put it on the side and say, you know what? I'm gonna go find somebody else. You found somebody else just to find out that he wasn't what you thought he was. And now you're trying to get out of that situation so you can get back to him. And it's too late, babe. I've moved on. This is why it becomes important for an individual to understand what they want, their time frame, to make a move and be content where things are. And if things don't move when you need them to, not want, because your needs and wants rarely align to where you need them to, and you've already let it be known, then you got to make that move and you have to be content with where the chips fall. So if that individual, be a male or female, they moved on and they got with somebody else and they're happy and they got a kid on the way, you got to say, you know what? I'm happy for you. I'm glad things worked out for you because Dave was talking about this earlier. There's a lot of people who aren't like that. They'll sabotage, they'll talk badly about you on social media, they'll say you weren't worth a damn. All of a sudden now, that individual is creating friction and they creating disharmony, not only out there in the larger world, but they're creating that animosity within themselves. So the next person that they meet that might actually fit their bill, they're poisoning themselves against that individual. So now that you poisoned yourself against that individual, nobody's ever going to be good enough because you're always going to compare them back to that person that quote unquote broke your heart, that quote unquote wasted your time, that didn't measure up to what you wanted. And now what? You're hardened. You don't want to see anybody. You want to deal with anybody because nobody's on the up and up. Everybody's wasting your time. No, nobody's wasting your time. You put yourself into that situation and what you wanted didn't come to pass. So you got to move on. And that's part of life. That is part of life. Sometimes we got to make a move when we got to make a move. There ain't nothing you can do. You got to take it how it comes.
Now we had some technical difficulties in with the streaming, so I missed some of the conversation. But
I was just basically talking about, individuals have to make a decision. And within that decision, they have to set the parameters that work for them. And if it doesn't, you got to move on. And if you see that individual later in life and they're doing well, then say, hey, I'm glad you're doing well. They can't, you, to be um, jaded by a situation that you've done your best for, it only serves to disrupt and block the blessings that are gonna come your way because you're gonna hold on to that animosity and it's gonna project itself to somebody who reads people well. So if you're sitting there looking like you just mad at the world, don't expect anybody to approach you. Don't expect anybody to invite you to events and functions. It People are gonna say, "Oh no, she looks like she got the weight of the world on her shoulders." Man, no, don't, because people will say, "Yo, I'm hosting the party. You can come through. You can bring one." They'll say, "But wait a minute, yo, don't bring home girl. She's a wet blanket. Don't bring that dude. He always messing up." People will say that, and you will never be wise to why. You'll just know that you never get invited to functions.
and I, and I always talk about sometimes just being a mystery, like being someone to pop in, pop out. You're not a familiar face, uh, because that always keep people curious. If you think about it, when someone starts, if you work for a big company or something, and somebody get employed and they start, everybody wondering who that person is. Who is that? When did they start? You want to know everything about that person. In a school setting, when the new kids start, especially if they got a little swag or a little, they say drip or whatever. I don't know what they say nowadays. They say a bunch of nonsense, but they
Uh,
come in. If it's a boy, the girls all want to know who the new student. If it's a girl, the boys all on it. Same thing in the club setting. If you go to the same spots, because you typically gonna see the same raggedy ass people in there. Then if it's one person who ain't never seen, but he may be there with familiar people that been there, all eyes on him. Yo, damn, he smell good, or damn, she look good. Oh my God, the dude's looking. If it's a girl, and the women looking like, oh man, who is that? I wonder is they a couple?
yeah,
I seen them before. Like, damn, I'm waiting for that opportunity for him to step away, but they won't move. They all up in his face, whatever. Damn, I want to say something to him. Gotta be a mystery. If you the same, you under the same spots, see the same people, all y'all a bunch of raggedy motherfuckers in the same spot that know each other, seeing each other. Gotta be a mystery.
yeah,
Gotta be the unknown. The unknown, it kills people. It kills people because it keeps them wondering. keeps them guessing. Like, what are they thinking? What's going on with this person? But if they already know, then there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
There's there's no intrigue into saying, "Oh, that's such and such." Uh, that's I'm trying to think. That's Ray Ray. That's Ray. He dealt with such and such. He got kids by this person. This and that. The
Hmm.
intrigue is gone because they already know. They already did their homework. Got to have an element of surprise. Can't tell y'all nothing. Yeah, I just like to be posted up, same old situations, same old people, and all that, but looking for different results and posting that I
Yeah.
want a good, I want a man. I'm looking for this and that, but you're going to the same ass places. You ain't doing nothing different. And one of the points is we talked about meeting new people. Um, doing joining groups, doing activities. Herb always said volunteering, doing something different that you ain't never did before. Because if you keep doing the same thing, we already know you're gonna keep getting the same results. The only time things change is when you do something different or to the extremes, you'll get different results. You can't keep running the same offense every time and the shit ain't working. You got to change it up. Eh, and do something different. But some of y'all, that's what y'all look for the same
Yeah.
results. Well, I met the last person here. Now I got a new one. And you find out they're the same. It's the same shit. Same old shit. And years go by.
It's and you know to and there's going to be some people, and I understand. Well, I'm from a small city, or I'm from a small town, or you know, and the next place to drink is a half an hour, 40-minute drive. You know what? Drive the half an hour, 40 minutes. Be a new face. Get out. Just like we say with kids, exposure, exposure, exposure. Because guess what? You might drive in half an hour, 40 minutes, and pop up there, and guess what? Like Dave says, okay, we got a new face now. We know everybody that comes in here. You're gonna draw some eyes. Some people gonna want to know, and they might approach you in a way that puts you at ease, or may throw up some kind of a signals and saying, okay, you know what, you got to watch yourself in here. Either way, you're getting exposure. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say it's bad, but you achieve the desired result, which is to be noticed. Everybody wants to be noticed. I don't care where you're from, who you are, what you want to do, especially if you're looking for a mate. There's nothing wrong with that. So drive the 45 minutes to the next town over, as long as your vehicle sound you good. Hey, you know what? You may want to take a couple of your people with you, just so you're not alone. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I used to go out by myself. I was like, shit, I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm gonna pull up to the spot, sit at the bar, and this is before I even started drinking. I was just saying, I'm a new face in here. Let me scope out, see what's here. Especially when I used to go, like I would always go to Pleasure Dome by myself, my
The
backyard.
dome, the domey dome.
And then there was I mean, you could, and we could always go to Fusions by ourselves. I mean, that was no big thing because you knew somebody there. So, what was it? Wednesday night was ladies' nights, and then St. Catherine's is Big Bus. We used to have a the week filled with places that we would go, and if nobody was rolling, say I'm rolling Dolo. Didn't matter because he had that kind of confidence, and a lot of people lack confidence to go out by themselves because they don't know how to
Yeah.
break into certain circles. They don't know how to insert themselves strategically in a group of women. And they're just like, well, what do I do? What do I say? you may not have to say anything. If it looks right, it smells right, it's the right night, shoot, you might get two or three of them females trying to holler at you. You say, well, damn, man, I went in there, came up with three numbers. Just like we talked about this off air. You want two of them. You ain't sure about the third one, so now you don't want to be looked at as one of them kind. You want to sleep with everybody. No, you just came in just to relax. You got two numbers, and they know each other through a mutual friend. You say, all right, how can I make this happen? Well, you got the cards. All you got to do is play them right. I can't help you with that because it's not a situation I've really had to deal with. So I don't know what to tell you. I will say this though: whatever you do, just make sure them shits don't come back to get you. Especially
Yeah.
now, if they don't talk, you're golden. But if they talk, all I can say is you better hope they don't drive the 45 miles and find out where you are and start slicing your car tires. Because at that particular point, I got nothing for you, man. It looks like David may have frozen. But move cautiously, be smart, be prudent. And, hey, look, and you might have to come clean. You might have to say, hey, look, I got your friend's number two. You're the one that called first. You're the one that I hooked up with first, and let the chips fall where they may. Some women may be offended. Oh, so I'm this one and that one, and say, hey, look, when I came up here, I just came to get away. I wasn't intent on finding anybody to hook up with. I wasn't intended on finding anyone to be in a relationship with. It just so happened to be the way that things played out. Now, if the woman takes it and accepts it, you're good. If she doesn't, you're still good. Why? Because she let you know she's not for it. Now, you can always go back and circle around and pick up the other one. The other one might be like, look, her loss. I'm I'm an independent operator. I came to do what I did. She gave you her number. I gave you my number. You called her. She wasn't with it because she thought she was playing second fiddle to me, and she wasn't. I'm here. What can we do? And it happens. That's what I was telling fellas. Be upfront. I mentioned the book, the Alan Roger Curry Mode One. Straightforward up front. Don't hide your intentions unless you're just trying to be grimy. And at that particular point, when you get what you get, but let that female know what your intentions are. That way, she can't claim anything. That way, she can't say you deceive. Excuse me, you deceived her. Put it on the wood. Put them cards out there. Let her pick and choose. That way, if things do go sideways, which is what we're talking about, you don't bear any blame. You say, hey, look, she knew what it was. She knew her friend gave me her number. I took her number. Her friend didn't want to get down. We got down, and now she wants to end things. You back to square one. You back to where it all started from. And you didn't do anything wrong. It just so happened to be the way the relationship went. This is one of the things we're talking about. So it's never easy getting out of a relationship because you you put in all those investments from the physical, mental, spiritual, financial, family, and social media. And as long as you manage them well and you do okay, you shouldn't have too many problems. Now, that's not to say the road is always going to be, without some perils here and there. There's always perils. Now, there's perils that can undo you, and there's perils that can make you a little bit stronger. I don't know what they're going to be because I'm not making the decisions for you. I'm making my decisions for myself. And generally speaking, especially as I've gotten older, my pearls are they're like little bumps in the road. Now it's all right, smooth as other. You keep going. But some people want to put themselves in positions and predicaments that are just so messed up that they can never recover. And if you put yourself in a position in a relationship that you can't recover from, and it hits social media, you can forget it. Nobody coming to save you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this
All right, you good.
Wi-Fi stuff, whatever. It's getting out of hand.
I was just talking about getting two numbers from two women in the same group, and one rejected you because she thought she was playing second fiddle, and the other one, she said, "Hey, that's her loss. I'm still here, and I rock and roll, and things they end up going left, and say, hey, look, it's what it was."
Yeah, it's you have to look at it again. You have to do things different, and I know that a little while ago, Herb had mentioned like going out by yourself, and I've shared this story before that I had never went out by myself, and I had got challenged to go out by myself, and one of my boys, he said he couldn't take off. He had to go to work, so I had to go out. And usually, when I went out, we rode, went to the spots in Niagara Falls. But this one, I had to have a outreach and had to go out by myself in Buffalo. Now we had been out in Buffalo, but I've never been out by myself. But again, I think when you're in your 40s, this when I was in my 20s, when you're in your 40s and 50s and you rolling up in somewhere 7, 8, 9, 10 deep, that shit, that's like that. You don't want to be associated with as an individual. You want to be associated as a gang when you come rolling up in there like that. That's not a good look. That's not impressing no man, and that's not impressing no woman. Uh, seriously, because you're not standing out unless you get in there and you be like they all at one table and you somewhere in the cut, and they
Yeah.
be like, damn, they came in there with them, but he or she not fucking with them like that. But y'all don't understand that. But I remember I had to go out, and I went out, and I said, yeah, it was a stretch project for me. I said, let me go out, and I did it. And it was a great night. It was a great night. And I'm gonna keep looking back at this game. Look like the fucking Steelers about to fold, and the Texans is going to advance
Ah,
17-6. I don't even know what happened. If Aaron Rodgers threw a pick six or something, but yeah, let me see. Don't mind. It's playoff football, so just glancing over and looking at it. No, he fumbled the ball. Yeah, they recovered it. Yeah, and then they took it to the house. So it's a wrap. Looked like it would be the Patriots and the Texans, and Buffalo was going to Denver anyway. But I like Buffalo chances. But anyways, get back to the point. Sorry, football season you get a little ADHD, but it was a great night. I went dolo, no interferences, no people because I was just there. So you had to be locked in on whatever the situation was, and the person told me, "Come meet me out here." And that's what it was. It ended up being a great night. I ain't gonna give you all the details, but it was a great night. But I'm saying that to be saying when you get a certain age and you feel like you ready to date and you ready to be out there, you ain't traveling 9 deep. You're not traveling 9 deep. You're going somewhere with maybe a couple people and y'all being elegant, you're being low key, and somebody's noticing you like, who are never seen them. I ain't seen them around. She cute and she beautiful and all that. When you come in there with 9 deep, you're a fucking posse.
yeah.
And no man 40, 50 years old want to be with someone with a posse because that's all these different personalities. And you don't like to deal with all these personalities
Yeah,
and all of
exactly.
that chatter back and forth. And vice versa. If you're a low key woman and you come out with you and your girlfriend just to have a couple cocktails, and then you have some dudes that come in there and they 5, 6 deep, you like, what the fuck? And they sitting around high fiving and loud and all that stuff. Not a good look. So sometimes you have to change your approach on what you need to do when you step out.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. Um, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being regimented, if you will, but a change up every now and then is always a good thing. A tweak here, a tweak there. It allows you to expand, not necessarily grow, but expand. And when you expand, you give off different vibes to different people. So when you're giving off different vibes to different people, your core you the same. But if these people don't know you, they assume that that's part of your core. They say, I've never seen anybody wear something like that. I've never seen anybody do this. I've never seen anybody that drink like that. It's a conversation piece. And you can just say, well, normally I don't. I just figured I'd try something different. And you say, who are you and where are you from? And next thing you know, the conversation starts to flow. And that's all anyone, especially as a man, that's all you should be looking for is an opportunity to engage in conversation with a female. Because at the end of the day, hopefully, you're trying to figure out what this female in front of you is about. Her likes, her dislikes, whether she wants kids. This is just me speaking now. So those are the type of questions and things that I'm getting at. But I'm older, so those kind of things are of interest to me because I don't want to be misaligned with somebody, and I don't want her necessarily misusing her time or me mine. Because if she wants kids, and I'm not the woman for her, hey, we might be great as friends, might hang out, might go to places, might go to a wine tasting, might do this, might do that. Those are the things that I like to do. I don't necessarily have to want a better woman to do those kind of things because that's the type of person I am. So hey, look, I got tickets for this event. What you doing? Let's go check this out. You got some guys that won't do that. You got some guys that say, hey, look, if I'm gonna spend money on a female, I gotta be betting her. I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying that's not a way to expand your horizons because she might have friends that you align with better than her. And she said, you know what? And I've had this happen. You and I don't get along, but I got a friend who's just right for you. And that's all you should want is an opportunity. But we got too many fellas out here who don't know how to exploit a breach and they never make it through. And that's unfortunate.
So again, I guess to me, and I only can speak. We have different age demographics may tune in and all that stuff, but at the core of it, a lot of times we may be taking stuff back when we were younger, and then trying to integrate when we get older, like
Mhm.
some of the different mechanisms that we use. But at the end of the day, in your 50s, we try to say things are not the same as they used to be when we were in our 20s or 30s. Yeah, you traveled, you rode deep with people. But then when you get older, you don't want all that riffraff. You want to kind of be low key again. You want that mysterical element about you that people don't can't really identify. Like, I seen him around. Well, I used to see him back in the days, but damn, I can't think of his name. He used to be out, but I don't think he live here anymore, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's up to. Damn, I can't get his name. Now they asking around, like, who is that? Do you know who that is? Oh, that's the dude who'll be on such and such. Now you didn't peep their interest, then you're getting conversation or you're getting requests. Uh, Things are opening up. But if you continue to do the same old things, you're gonna always get the same results. That's just how it is. Big Shank said, "I love when a woman tell me I smell good." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big thing. You want to smell good, and you don't want to smell like everybody else. You want to stand out. You want to look different. I always talk about smelling good, looking different. If you want to be twins with everybody and be a clone, then that's that. So sometimes you got to step out the box and wear something that nobody else has confidence of wearing. You got to step out the box and wear something that's maybe weird, maybe ugly as hell. I used to say for a while, I said, I'm gonna try to get the ugliest shirt possible. But then when I would get it, people were like, that's not ugly. But it was ugly when I saw it. And that was my whole thing. I was like, cause I'm, you know, tired of everybody dressing like, but smelling good, looking different is all a part of the makeup when you think about breakups to break through. To break through, you got to be ready to do something different. Eh, that will require you're feeling whole and complete on your own.
Yeah.
Are you back? Do you feel complete? You identify what you want and need in a part. You know from your previous relationships, this is your expectations. This is what I want. I'm not settling for less. Even though sometimes you may have to give a little wiggle room because not everything's going to fall to your expectations. So you might have to be open to different adjustments. You're excited in the possibility of meeting someone new. You're ready for that. You're not comparing potential partners to your ex. If you're still comparing and you're saying, oh, he did that or she did that, you're not ready. Eh, Start all over. You go back to one. If you're still on that stuff, because nobody want to hear everything that they do, because it may be some similarities, but that don't mean shit gonna be the same. It may be a situation. Well, all he did was work. Eh, he may be picking up overtime, but you may have a job that requires that. He's picking up voluntary overtime, and your job may require you to work those type of hours or long shifts. So should you be compared to that when that's your regular shift? But sometimes people get it twisted and say, well, all he ever did was work. But he got off at a certain time at 3, but he decided to stay to 7, 8 every day to pick up overtime, where somebody may work a different, depending on the profession. They may have straight up 12-hour shifts and it ain't overtime. So you get it all twisted and conflicted that uh, all he did was work. So now, because you got long shifts, that's all you do is work. Again, understand what somebody's career or profession exists of, and that can answer a lot of questions. Was you're feeling confident and secure in yourself. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, how you really know. Are you secure with yourself? Are you confident? Have you done everything you needed to do to build yourself up to be ready? If not, you may have to reevaluate everything because you may think you're ready, but you're really not ready. And don't let friends or family tell you you're ready when deep down inside you know you're not ready.
Yeah. Biggest biggest impediment that a lot of people have is they listen to the wrong people about the wrong things.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Those same friends that you like, oh, we've been hanging together since we was kindergarten, but none of them had successful relationships, and they in and out of relationships, and then you looking for relationship advice from them. How stupid is that? If I'm if I'm trying to be if I'm trying to be married or trying to be in a long term relationship, why the hell would I be getting advice from my single buddies or somebody that I know that they can't keep no woman from this point to that point, but I'm sharing everything with the that's so idiotic.
Yeah, and here's I'm gonna give you guys a little tip out here. If you want to know about yourself or where you stand with certain things, and you want an opinion that's gonna be close to as accurate as you possibly can get, ask someone who doesn't like you that well. Guaranteed you're gonna get some information. May not like it, may not, don't know, but ask.
We at the 10:56 mark. So we about to get out of here. Look like well, my main team is down. Go Buffalo. That's all I got left. But we gonna get out of here. Any closing comments, Big Bad Wolf, on this subject matter? Break up to break through.
Nah, I'm gonna reiterate what I said from the beginning. It's not easy. Ending isn't, but you got to do it. Especially if you believe you can do better and it's holding you back and it's not what you want. Make that call and go ahead and put that best foot forward. But just make sure that when you do, you're ready. You're ready in all six of those phases.
And for me, I think the whole thing is the people that you're around, the people that you associate with, the people that you talk to during your highs and lows. Sometimes you gotta, again, I always talk about Machiavellian. Just go somewhere on your own, journal, do some things by yourself, get to know you, and then
Yeah.
come back bigger and better without any other influences because people are going to influence. And one of the quickest things people say, oh, let's go out and have a drink. Yeah, when you have drinking out there, your mind all over the damn place. It's like starting over again, and you end up getting yourself in situations that, hey, dang, I got so nice. I end up talking to this person, and that's really, you really wasn't ready for all that, but you end up doing it. Uh, Big Shing Shake, good show tonight. I always try to bring some good material. So again, take the time to invest in yourself. Take the time to spend some time for self care to work on yourself, and then change up things. You got to do things different. It may be just a little minor adjustment. And sometimes that's all it takes. But remember, based on your age, yeah, and then really it don't even matter with your age. If you're 20 or 30, sometimes you just got to do things dolo, and you'll get different results. You don't need all the crowd, and it might bring greater treasures with you just being that unknown person, uh, unknown individual. But with that said, we're gonna get out of here. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you next time. We out.
One.
Peace.